I am the daughter who married wrong, who chose love over money, who was disowned for 6 years for refusing to marry within my class. My name is Sophia Reynolds. I'm 31 years old. I'm a middle school art teacher in San Francisco. I make $62,000 a year. I live in a small apartment in the Sunset District with my husband, David Chen. David is a mechanic. He owns Chen Auto Repair in the Mission. He makes about $70,000 a year. He's the son of Chinese immigrants. He didn't go to college. He fixes cars with his hands. My mother hated him, hated that I chose him, hated that I threw away everything she'd built for me. My mother, Margaret Reynolds, died 1 month ago. Pancreatic cancer at age 74. Margaret was old San Francisco money. Her family, the Harringtons, made their fortune in shipping in the 1800s. Generations of wealth, social status, country clubs, charity galas, everything that defines San Francisco elite. She married my father, James Reynolds, who was also old money. Banking family. They were the perfect society couple. Had me when they were in their 30s. Raised me in Pacific Heights, private schools, debutante balls, junior league, everything a proper San Francisco girl should do. My father died when I was 20. Heart attack. Sudden. Devastating. Mom inherited everything. Approximately $55 million. And she had expectations for how I'd live the life she'd built for me. I was supposed to marry well, someone from our circle, a Stanford or Harvard grade, a tech entrepreneur or venture capitalist, someone who understood our world, our class, our responsibilities. Instead, I fell in love with David Chen, the mechanic who fixed my car. I was 25, teaching at a public middle school in the Mission. My car broke down. I brought it to Chen Auto Repair because it was nearby. David diagnosed the problem in 5 minutes, fixed it in an hour. Charged me half what the dealer would have. You saved me so much money, I said. That's what mechanics do. We fix things honestly. We started talking. He was funny, smart, kind. He'd grown up in San Francisco Chinatown, then the Sunset. Parents owned a restaurant. He'd learned to fix cars from his uncle, built a business from nothing. We started dating, quietly at first. I didn't tell Mom, knew she'd disapprove. But after 6 months, David proposed. Simple ring, down on one knee in Golden Gate Park. Sophia, I love you. I don't have much, but I'll work every day to make you happy. Will you marry me? Yes, I told Mom the next day. Brought David to meet her. Pacific Heights mansion, formal living room. Mom in her designer suit. David in his cleanest jeans and button down. Mom, this is David Chen. We're engaged. Mom looked at him, at his callous mechanic's hands, at his lack of pedigree, at everything he represented: working class, immigrant family, wrong side of the social divide. No, she said. What? No, you're not marrying him. This is a phase, a rebellion. You're 25. You don't know what you're doing. Mom, I love him. Love isn't enough. Marriage requires compatibility, shared values, shared social standing. He's a mechanic, Sophia. He fixes cars. You're a Reynolds. You can't marry a mechanic. Why not? Because you'll lose everything. Your social position, your friends, your access to this world. And frankly, you'll lose my support. I don't care about social position. Then you're a fool. Sophia, listen to me carefully. If you marry this man, you are choosing him over your family, over your inheritance, over everything I've built for you. I will not support this marriage, financially or emotionally. You'll be on your own. Is that a threat? It's a fact. Marry him, and you're no longer a Reynolds. You'll receive nothing from me. No help. No inheritance. Nothing. He's not our class. This marriage will not happen. I looked at David. He looked devastated, ready to walk away to save me the pain. I took his hand. Mom, I'm marrying David. With or without your blessing, then it's without. And without my money. Leave, both of you. Don't come back. We left. Got married 3 months later. City Hall. Simple ceremony. David's family, a few friends. Mom didn't attend, didn't acknowledge it, didn't speak to me. For 6 years, I was dead to her. No calls, no visits, no acknowledgement that I existed. I sent her cards on holidays, Mother's Day, her birthday, Christmas. Every card returned unopened. I invited her to events, my school's art shows, David's business expansion party, our 5th anniversary. No response. I was erased, disowned, the daughter who married wrong. David and I built a life anyway. Small apartment, 2 teacher salaries plus his mechanic income. We were comfortable, not rich, but happy. My cousin's mom's side of the family stayed in touch occasionally. Condescending check-ins. How's the mechanic? Still teaching public school? Must be hard without the Reynolds money. They assumed I'd regret it, that I'd divorce David, come crawling back to mom, beg forgiveness. I never did. Loved David more every year. Loved the life we built without mom's money or approval. 1 month ago, everything changed. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Sophia Reynolds Chen? A man's voice. Formal. Yes, this is Harold White. I'm your mother's attorney. I'm calling to inform you that Margaret Reynolds passed away yesterday. Pancreatic cancer. She'd been ill for 6 months. The funeral is Saturday at Grace Cathedral, and there will be a will reading the following Monday. You're listed as a potential beneficiary. You're required to attend. I'm required? Your mother's will specifies that all potential beneficiaries must be present at the reading. If you don't attend, you forfeit any potential inheritance. Mr. White, my mother disowned me 6 years ago. I'm sure there's no inheritance. Nevertheless, you're listed. Please attend. Monday, a.m., my office, 555 California Street. He hung up. I sat there, stunned. Mom was dead, and somehow, despite 6 years of silence, I was listed as a potential beneficiary. I told David, "Your mom died. I'm so sorry. We hadn't spoken in 6 years. I don't know how to feel. You should go to the funeral, to the will reading. Get closure. She hated you, hated us. Why would she leave me anything? Maybe she regretted it. Maybe she wanted to make amends. You won't know unless you go." The funeral was Saturday. Grace Cathedral. Enormous. 300 people. San Francisco Society. Everyone Mom had known. I sat in the back, alone. David stayed home, didn't want to cause drama. My cousins were there, 5 of them. Harrison 35, Penelope 33, Charles 31, Beatrice 29, Edmund 27. All Mom's nieces and nephews, all perfectly dressed, all heirs to the Reynolds fortune. They saw me, whispered. Penelope walked over. Sophia, surprised you came. Didn't think you'd have the nerve after abandoning the family. I didn't abandon you. Married a mechanic. Chose him over us. Over Mom. That's abandonment. She walked away. After the service, Harrison approached. Smug smile. Sophia, Harold told us you're coming to the will reading. Don't get your hopes up. Mom made her feelings clear. You chose poorly. You'll get nothing. I didn't come for money. Good. Because there won't be any. The estate is going to those of us who stayed loyal, who maintained the family standards. See you Monday. I left, went home, cried. David held me. You don't have to go Monday. You don't need their money or their judgment, I know. But I need to hear it. Need closure. Need to know she really erased me from everything. Monday morning, a.m. Harold White's office, 55th floor. Stunning views of the bay. Conference room with a massive table. I arrived exactly at 10. Wore my best dressed teacher salary best, not Reynolds money best. Felt out of place immediately. My 5 cousins were already there. Designer suits, expensive watches, looking like they owned the room. Harold entered, mid-60s, distinguished, carrying files. Thank you all for coming. This is Margaret Reynolds's last will and testament. Before we begin the formal reading, Margaret left a letter. She insisted it be read aloud to everyone. Before anything else, he pulled out an envelope. This letter is addressed to Sophia Reynolds Chen. My cousin smirked. This was it. The public humiliation. The formal disowning. Harold opened the letter, started reading in Mom's voice, and my world shattered. Harold read, Sophia, if you're hearing this, you attended the will reading. You came despite 6 years of silence. Despite knowing I disowned you. Despite everything. Let me be clear about what will happen next. Harold will read my will, and you will discover that you are not a beneficiary. Not in the primary distribution. Not in any meaningful way. The estate 55 million will be divided among your cousins. Harrison, Penelope, Charles, Beatrice, and Edmund. They stayed loyal to the Reynolds family. They maintained our standards. They married appropriately. They deserved the inheritance. You do not. You married David Chen, a mechanic, a man with no education, no pedigree, no social standing. You chose him over me, over our family, over everything I built. That was your choice. And choices have consequences. The consequence is this. You get nothing. Zero. Not a dollar. Not a piece of jewelry. Not even a photograph. I am not doing this out of cruelty. I am doing this to teach you what you lost. You chose love over money, romance over responsibility, a mechanic over your mother. Now you'll live with that choice. While your cousins inherit millions, you'll continue teaching for $62,000 a year. While they summer in Europe, you'll summer in your small apartment. While they attend galas, you'll grade papers. This is what you chose. A life of modest means with a man who will never be able to provide the life you could have had. I hope David Chen is worth it, because he cost you $55 million. Do not contest this will. Do not beg. Do not plead. You made your choice 6 years ago. This is mine. You get nothing. Your mother, Margaret Reynolds. Harold finished reading. The room was silent. Then my cousins started laughing. Actually laughing. Penelope covered her mouth, trying to be subtle. Harrison grinned openly. Charles shook his head. Brutal, but fair. I felt tears forming, felt the humiliation washing over me. Mom had planned this. A public reading of my rejection. A letter telling me I'm worth nothing because I married for love. I stood up, grabbed my purse. I don't need to stay for this. Sophia, wait, Harold started. Why? You said it. I get nothing. There's no reason to stay and watch you divide Mom's estate among people who think I'm a joke. I walked toward the door. Sophia, Harold's voice was sharp, commanding. Sit down. I turned. Excuse me. Sit down. Now. That letter was not the end of this reading. It was the beginning. What? Your mother left specific instructions. The letter was to be read first. Then I was to observe your reaction. And most importantly, I was to know whether you stayed or left. I don't understand. Sophia, that letter was a test. Sit down and let me explain. I hesitated. My cousins looked confused. Harold, what test? Harrison asked. All of you quiet. Sophia, please sit. I sat, hands shaking, heart pounding, not understanding what was happening. Harold pulled out a different document. This is Margaret Reynolds's last will and testament, properly executed 6 months ago. Witnessed. Legal. Let me read the distribution clauses. He read formally, slowly, making sure everyone understood. Clauses 1 through 6. Primary distribution. My estate, valued at approximately $55 million, is divided as follows. I braced myself. Here it came. The formal disowning. Harrison Reynolds, $0. Wait, what? Penelope Reynolds, $0. Charles Reynolds, $0. Beatrice Reynolds, $0. Edmund Reynolds, $0. My cousins erupted. WHAT, Harrison stood. That's impossible. Harold continued calmly. Clause 7. Special provision. The true distribution. He looked at me. Really looked at me. Sophia, your mother left you a letter telling you that you'd get nothing. She told you that you chose wrong. That marrying David cost you everything. Do you remember what that letter said? Yes, I whispered. And yet you're still here. You came to this reading knowing you'd be humiliated. You sat through that letter being read aloud. You were about to leave dignity intact when I stopped you. Why did you stay when I asked? I don't know. Respect? Curiosity? I'm not sure. You stayed because you have character. Let me read Clause 7. He read. Clause 7. The true will. The letter read at the beginning of this meeting was a test. A cruel test, perhaps, but a necessary one. 6 years ago, my daughter Sophia chose love over money. She married David Chen, a mechanic, a working-class man, someone outside our social circle. I disowned her, cut off all contact, erased her from my life. I did this because I was angry, hurt, disappointed, but mostly because I was testing her. Would she divorce David when the money was gone? Would she come crawling back begging forgiveness? Would she prove that she'd married for the wrong reasons? She didn't. For 6 years, Sophia stayed married, stayed happy, built a life with David. She sent me cards, I returned them unopened. She invited me to events, I ignored her. She reached out repeatedly, I rejected her every time. And still she stayed with David. Still she chose love over reconciliation with me. Over money, over everything. That persistence, that loyalty proved me wrong. She didn't marry David for rebellion or attention. She married him because she loves him. And she stayed with him because that love is real. The letter at the beginning of this meeting was my final test. If Sophia attended the reading despite knowing she'd inherit nothing, it proved she came for closure, not money. If she sat through public humiliation and stayed when asked even briefly, it proved she has dignity and strength. My nephews and nieces Harrison, Penelope, Charles, Beatrice, Edmund have never been tested. They've lived on family money, married appropriately, done what was expected. They've never sacrificed anything, never chosen principle over profit, never proven their character. Therefore, my true will is this. To Sophia Reynolds Chen, I leave my entire estate, $55 million, the Pacific Heights house, all investments, all assets, everything. She has earned it by living 6 years without my support and thriving anyway. She proved that she doesn't need my money, which is exactly why she deserves it. To my nephews and nieces, I leave $50,000 each, a consolation prize for assuming you'd inherit millions without having to earn it. Consider this a lesson. Money given freely is worth less than character proven through hardship. Sophia, you were right. David was worth it. He cost you nothing. He gave you everything. And now you'll have both the love you chose and the inheritance you earned. The letter said you get nothing. That was a lie. You get everything. With love and regret, Margaret Reynolds. Harold finished reading. The room was completely silent. I stared at him, unable to process. What? You inherit everything, Sophia. $55 million. The house. All of it. Your mother left your cousins $50,000 each. That's all. My cousins exploded. This is fraud, Harrison shouted. Mom would never. Margaret executed this will 6 months ago. She was of sound mind. Medical records confirm. 2 witnesses, both doctors, certified her competency. It's ironclad. Penelope turned on me. You manipulated her. I hadn't spoken to her in 6 years. How could I manipulate someone I never saw? Harold stood. Sophia had no knowledge of this will, no contact with Margaret. This was entirely Margaret's decision. She tested Sophia. Sophia passed. The will is valid. Charles grabbed his phone. We're contesting. This is coercion. There's an interim clause. If you contest and lose, you forfeit the $50,000. Right now, you get $50,000 each. Contest and lose? You get 0. Edmund looked at me with pure hatred. You don't deserve this. You married a mechanic and stayed married when there was no money. That's exactly what your aunt said I proved. Character. Harold handed me a folder. Sophia, these are all the documents. Property deeds. Investment accounts. Everything is in your name now. Well, it will be after probate. About 6 months, I don't know what to say. Your mother wanted me to tell you one more thing. She said, tell Sophia I was wrong. David wasn't beneath her. I was beneath them. They built something real. I built walls. The $55 million is my apology for 6 years of cruelty. I hope she uses it to build something beautiful with the man who was worth more than any inheritance. I started crying, actually sobbing. She never said that while she was alive. She was too proud, too stubborn, too hurt, but she wrote it in the will. She wanted you to know. My cousins stormed out, all 5 of them, furious, humiliated. They'd assumed they'd inherit millions. They'd laughed at me, mocked me, told me I'd get nothing, and I'd gotten everything. I drove home unable to process what had happened. $55 million. Everything. Because I'd passed a 6-year test I didn't know I was taking. David was home. I told him everything, the letter, the humiliation, Harold stopping me, Clause 7, the real will. Your mom tested you for 6 years, he said quietly. That's brutal, but we passed. We stayed together with no money, no support, no approval. That's what she wanted to see. What do we do with $55 million? I thought about it. We keep teaching, keep living here. Don't change anything. If we change everything now, it proves Mom was right that we were only happy because we didn't have money. David smiled. So we test ourselves, yeah. We prove the money doesn't matter, that we were enough before and were enough after. We sat in our small apartment, the home we'd built on teacher and mechanic salaries, the life that had been enough, the life that would stay enough. My cousins hired lawyers, 5 angry heirs who'd expected millions. They filed contest, mental incompetence, undue influence, emotional manipulation. The deposition was brutal. Their attorney attacked. You hadn't spoken to your mother in 6 years, yet you inherited $55 million. Suspicious, isn't it? I had no knowledge of the will, no contact with her. I can't manipulate someone I never saw. They tried every angle, but the facts were clear. Competent mother, no contact, properly executed will, intentional test. After 6 months, the judge ruled. The letter was intentionally cruel, that was the test. Sophia had no contact with Margaret. Will stands. Contest denied. My cousins had spent $150,000 fighting. They lost everything including their $50,000 inheritances on legal fees. The Pacific Heights mansion came to me. 8,000 square feet. $12 million. The house where Mom had rejected us. David and I walked through it. Every room held memories of being unwelcome. Do you want to live here? He asked. No, too many ghosts. I don't want to raise kids where she said you weren't good enough. We sold it for $11.8 million. Created the Margaret Reynolds Foundation for Arts Education, funding art programs in public schools, the schools I taught in, where kids couldn't afford supplies. Within the first year, 50 schools funded, thousands of kids accessing creativity they'd never have otherwise. Mom spent her life on charity galas. I spent her money on actual impact. The mansion where she'd valued status became scholarships for kids who'd never attend a gala. We bought a modest house in the Sunset, 3 bedrooms, $1.2 million cheap by Reynolds standards. I kept teaching, same school, same salary, same kids. My principal was shocked. You're a millionaire. You could retire. I love teaching. Money doesn't change that. David kept his shop. Fix cars is who I am. I'm not proving your mom right by stopping. We lived the same life we'd built before. Same routines, same values. The only difference, security. We could help family, donate to causes, afford medical care without stress. But we didn't change who we were. Mom thought losing her money would break me. Instead, it proved we'd built a life that didn't need it. 5 years later, Penelope wrote, I've been in therapy. My therapist asked, did Sophia choose wrong? I realized no. You chose love. We chose nothing. We assumed we'd inherit without earning it. I'm sorry for laughing. You proved character. We proved entitlement. I wrote back forgiving her. 6 months later, we met for coffee. Penelope met David properly. How did you stay through 6 years with no money? We loved each other. That was enough, she cried. I've been married twice to appropriate men. Both failed. No love, just convenience. You taught me. Love matters more than money. I just learned too late. 10 years later, the foundation had funded 100 schools, helped 50,000 students, $15 million in grants. At our annual showcase, a 15-year-old from Oakland showed me her painting. Your foundation saved our art program. I got into CalArts because of it. That's what Mom's money did. Real impact, real futures. She'd valued appearances. I valued impact. The ultimate passing of her test. 15 years later, I visited Mom's grave, brought flowers, talked to her. Thank you for testing me. You were wrong to disown me, but right, that character needs proving. We proved it. Thank you for the inheritance. I used it for something you never would have built. 200 schools, 50,000 kids. David's world, the world you thought was beneath me. I hope you're proud. It's real. It matters. I forgive you for the test, and I hope you've learned. The daughter who married wrong actually married perfectly. 20 years later, people ask, does it bother you that your mom tested you so cruelly? No, the test proved I didn't marry David for money. There wasn't any. I didn't stay for status. I lost it. I chose him because I loved him. 6 years of poverty proved that love was real. Mom's letter said, you get nothing. She wanted to see if I'd stay anyway. If I'd sit through humiliation with dignity. I did. Barely. I was leaving when Harold stopped me. But I stayed. And the lawyer said, check Clause 7 instead. Clause 7 said I get everything. Not because I deserved it more. Because I'd proven I didn't need it. Mom was wrong about David. Wrong about class. Wrong about what makes a marriage work. But right about one thing. Character is proven through hardship. I stayed with David through 6 years of nothing. I stayed at the reading after the letter. I stayed true to who I was even when it meant losing everything. And because I stayed without expectation of reward, I received everything. The letter was a lie. Clause 7 was truth. Mom tested me for 6 years, made me prove love was real. I passed. At the will reading, my mom said, you get nothing. The lawyer said, check Clause 7 instead, and Clause 7 said, you get everything, because you already had everything that mattered. If Sophia's story of cruel tests and hidden clauses moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button if you believe that love proven through hardship is worth more than inherited wealth, that choosing right sometimes means losing everything, and that mothers who test their daughters for 6 years might finally learn what actually matters. Subscribe and turn on notifications because stories of disowned daughters, trap clauses in wills, and tests that last 6 years always have more powerful truths to reveal. Share this video with someone who chose love over money, someone who married wrong according to family but right according to their heart, someone who stayed through years of rejection, someone who proved character when there was no reward, someone who knows what it feels like to be told you get nothing and stayed anyway. Drop a comment below. Was Margaret right to test Sophia so cruelly? Should the cousins have received more than $50,000? And here's the question that matters. If your mother left you a letter at a will reading saying you'd inherit nothing, would you stay to hear the rest or walk out with dignity? Your support makes these stories of tested daughters, cruel letters, and ultimate vindication possible. Thank you for being part of our community of people who believe that character is proven through hardship, that Clause 7 matters more than the cruel letter, and that sometimes the daughter who married wrong inherits everything. See you in the next one. And remember, they can write letters saying you get nothing, but they can't erase Clause 7 that gives you everything.